Web Summit Vancouver, final day. Quick show of hands. Who hates Workday? Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. All right, so today we're going to talk about what's wrong with traditional HR tools, what the esteemed panelists to my right are doing to fix it, and why AI is the catalyst that'll help us finally address some of these issues that we've been dealing with for so long. So let's start with my panelists. Please introduce yourselves, give us a very short one-sentence description of what you do, starting with you, Praveen.
I'm Praveen Ramachandran. I hold a master's in machine learning with Georgia Tech. I run this company called AOT Technologies, based in Victoria, BC. We do AI, low-code, and HR tech.
And I'm Willson Cross. I run a company called Borderless AI. We're bringing AI to the HR stack, so everything from using an AI agent to run your payroll, using an AI agent to onboard your team member, using AI agent to enroll your team in benefits. That's what we do.
Perfect. And why don't we start with what inspired you to start thinking about HR tech, specifically given the AI wave? Praveen.
So primarily, just to give you some context of our company, we are a very global company with a global remote workforce. During the pandemic, one thing that we noticed is we had a lot of success with global remote talent. So we wanted to kind of build a tech platform to allow the employers in North America to hire globally. At that time, AI was not much of a focus. We were just trying to automate the typical HR stuff, onboarding, stuff like that. But then later at some point, we had this job posting for our Victoria location for AOT, and we found that around 500 applicants, right? Just for one job posting, one job. So sorting through these 500 applicants using traditional ATS systems were really, really hard. So that actually provoked the idea for leveraging AI for resume parsing, resume screening, and also now we are looking at we have a beta platform deployed to use AI for screening candidates using AI. So that's where we are, and that was the aha moment, or the pivotal moment in our journey. So many applicants to sort through.
That was my idea. Yeah, I think for us it was maybe more technical driven, but also driven by the classic founder story. I had the problem myself. I've done a few startups, and I'm a sales biz dev slanted founder, and HR and admin is really the demise of all my time. So when AI and the advent of AI agents came along, we saw and we think that AI will eliminate the software layer of HR altogether. Why use a tool like Workday or ADP when an AI agent can do a lot of these tasks for you? And one big one for us is employment law. Right? We have a team in 17 countries. 7 of those countries we have pretty sturdy setup of offices and such. And employment law is a major thing every single day. So being able to generate compliant employment agreements without the oversight of an employment lawyer in Sweden, when I don't know anything to do with employing a software engineer in Sweden, and having AI generate an employment document in addition to an ancillary onboarding plan for that software engineer in Sweden, in addition to sourcing and giving them prompts to enroll them in health benefits in Sweden, and then doing the T4, or the W2 equivalent for them in Sweden when tax time comes along. That's just a huge unlock, and to be able to do that at your fingertips on one dashboard is a huge thing for us. So that's our vision, that's what we've been leaning into, and that's what we saw.
Wilson, given the name of your company, Borderless AI, do you have any examples of where a company was able to go global without dealing with any red tape thanks to AI technology?
Yeah, we have tons of customers. They launch large development centers in Mexico City, starting from hire all the way to retire. So Praveen mentioned ATS, so optimizing their current ATS solution, having an AI agent understand all the knowledge in their current, whether it's Bamboo HR, whether it's Breezy, current ATS solution, talking back to their Workday instance, and then all the way to actually onboarding 33 people in Mexico, understanding that in Mexico they have this thing called the 13th month bonus, right? That's a law in Mexico. You need to pay your employees 13 months. a year, not 12. And you need to give three months severance, right? Even if they work for you for 2 days. So
I feel like there's a story there.
there is a story there. We won't get into that. We'll leave that to AI. But that's kind of, so rapid expansion, number one. Number two, a lot of times when, 10 years ago, a team would need to launch a new office, they would have to have a whole new HR cost structure in that country. Now you can manage it with less people, so there's a cost efficiency, and then obviously, the labor arbitrage of having talent in different parts of the world.
And Praveen, are you saying similar or something different in terms of hiring globally and removing red tape thanks to AI technologies?
Yeah, definitely. We have this HR tech startup that we have been working on, and I agree with a lot of things that Willson mentioned here. We had a similar experience hiring in Philippines, hiring in Romania. In Philippines, for example, you need to make contributions to 5 or 6 different government agencies. You need to do those payroll reductions, so for compliance is very important. Then Brazil, Mexico and Brazil, right? The meal coupons are a thing, right, in Brazil. So we learned a lot, right, trying to hire globally, and definitely the technology, especially AI, has helped a lot, making sure that we are compliant.
A lot of people don't know, but in Japan, it's just a normal thing. It's just a normal thing to do a bicycle allowance, bicycle parking allowance, right? Your traditional payroll engines don't account for that. They don't prompt you for that. They don't support that. And with AI, you can make those payroll calculations right away.
Here's a question for both of you. With AI increasingly being in the loop during hiring decisions, how do you prevent bias and ensure fairness? Starting with you, Praveen.
Yeah, that's a topic I'm really passionate about, especially because I did ethical AI deployment course as part of my master's program at Georgia Tech. So I learned a number of things, and I was really surprised by the systemic bias that creeps into the AI models. So one thing that I really learned is about these toolkits that are available, right? Say there is something called AI Fairness 360. It was originally developed by IBM. There is a similar one from Microsoft called Responsible AI. So these frameworks are out there which can actually help with certain metrics and algorithms to kind of eliminate bias in traditional AI models.
Eliminate or reduce?
Yeah, thanks for correcting me. Yeah, it won't fully.
No, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I think it's safe. Thanks for correcting me again. It may not eliminate fully, but at least we have a much better control on, right, decreasing that bias.
That's a tricky thing. I'd almost flip it on its head and say, employers need to be very, I guess, careful on this whole fake candidate piece where, they're going on and they're interviewing somebody and that person is just an avatar and, they're not real on the other side. Or on the flip side, I go to apply for a job and I'm talking to somebody and it's a recruiter, but it's an AI recruiter. So I think you got to be really careful on the biases, to the extent that a lot of our enterprise customers, they want to actually turn a lot of those features off because they haven't figured it out yet, right? So I think that's a big, when selling AI to HR, a big thing we deal with where, in some features and some of our product suite, it's like pushing water up a hill sometimes because the market isn't necessarily ready. The market hasn't thought through this yet. So giving the customer really the ability to turn off certain model providers or turn them off altogether on certain products and features, I think that's how we combat it right now.
Yeah, to add to that, I'll tell you a story. A few months ago, right, I went to San Francisco to hang out with some of my old buddies. So we went on the Waymo, right, the driverless cab. And it was a great experience, and I felt really safe because Waymo has, I don't know if you know about Waymo, it has this LiDAR camera on top of the roof. Yeah. So it has a great vision, and it was incredibly safe to travel around San Francisco downtown on Waymo, right? So I always think about this analogy, say HR function is should be like that LiDAR on top of Waymo, which provides guidance, right, for the AI in HR tech. HR can always provide that guidance, and also HR tech founders like us, we should also use toolkits like AI Fairness 360 or Responsible AI frameworks from Microsoft and make sure that some of those bias elimination, not necessarily eliminations, at least reducing bias, right, that is baked into the product. And also, if you're an HR manager, when you adopt such solutions, those are the right questions to ask to the vendor, right? What controls are in place, or how are you working on reducing the bias, right, in the models.
I want to go back a little bit to, Wilson, what you were talking about, the AI recruiter example. So fast forward 5 years, given all the pros and cons that we just talked about for various AI technologies, we fast forward 5 years, what's an HR process that you guys confidently can say will be eliminated thanks to AI?
Running payroll and employee onboarding. We've all done the start a new job, got to set up your direct deposit, and with the way the world's going and everybody's hiring globally, for us, we see a lot of our customers, their international employees are trying to onboard their bank account, right? The old school way, PDF, here's my direct deposit. You're dealing with currency differences, you're dealing with language differences. So being able for an employee to talk back and forth with an AI agent and onboard their checking account in a different country than the headquartered country of the company that they're starting to work for, that's one. I think running payroll is number two. All the government deductions, all the burdens. Most people don't know this, but in Canada, if you have payroll over $1.2 million a year, you have to pay the employer health tax, and nobody lets you know. And all traditional HR payroll softwares will not let you know you need to do that. So you can go years and years not contributing and then have this big bill at the end of the day. So AI will let you know those things, tell you how to file it, and tell you how to calculate it. So running payroll, onboarding employees. I think things that are still far afield is performance improvement plans, PIPs, one-on-one documentation, performance reviews. But I think on the flip side, I think compensation is going to get a lot more fair and trued up. Somebody with the same skills in New York, do they make somebody the same as somebody in Toronto? I think you're going to be able to soon drop a LinkedIn profile into one of our AI agents, and it's going to give you a best guess on their comp over the last 5 years, given all the other data their LinkedIn profile provides. But I think that stuff might be a bit far afield, but the onboarding and the payroll and the compliance, employment documents, employee handbooks, that's coming, that's here.
What about you, Praveen? Would you echo any of that, or anything to add?
I echo most of it. Employment contracts is always that comes to mind. But I'll add one, a bit more thought-provoking one here. See, 5 years from now, the way I see the world is like, this is again coming from me running a consulting company. We spend a lot of subject matter expert time in hiring candidates, right? So let's say I'm hiring a full-stack architect. I need another full-stack architect or senior person to vet that person. Sometimes it's a panel, right? So the future I see is like, let's say those panels could be filled by models, right? Say one panelist could be Gemini, one panelist could be ChatGPT, the third one could be Claude, and maybe the fourth one is a human, right? That gives us like a better perspective, right? And I'd say more unbiased view of the candidate, like in terms of the depth of the subject matter expertise.
Yeah.
Because we cannot rely on one model, because that could be, like I wouldn't really trust one model based on the state of the art today. But it's going to be like, a combination of models sitting in a panel.
Yeah, for more balance.
I think one thing we're seeing is one of our most popular products is reports and analytics. So you can ask Borderless AI, how many days off have my employees taken this year? And please run a report for my executive team. And an AI agent will run across their Workday instance if they're using Workday in the US. An AI agent will talk to ADP if they're using ADP in Germany. If they're using Humi in Canada, it'll gather all that information. You might have 337 employees. It'll give you all that data. Within 30 seconds, it'll provide insights and prompts on who took the most time off and what you should do going forward, what your competitors are doing, or what another company down the street does for time off and policies, and then it will suggest policies for you to install and then get adoption from your company.
What's a trend in AI that you think people are not paying attention to enough with regards to HR? Is there a specific technology or a specific technique or a tool that you found particularly underhyped and needs more attention? Starting with you, Praveen.
I can't think of anything specific there, but one thing I would say is like, there are a lot of misconceptions out there, right, in terms of like AI. Like for example, plugging in an AI model, right? That's not going to be enough, right? You need some kind of human supervision, the human intervention in some cases, right? Just going back to the Waymo ride in San Francisco, right? One thing I did was like I was sitting in the back seat. I did not really put the seat belt on deliberately to see what happens. The car was actually almost ready to pull over, and somebody intervened, and there was a conversation, a human conversation, right? Politely asked me to put the seatbelt on, otherwise the car is not going to continue, right? So that kind of human oversight and intervention would be really required. Of course, there are a lot of tools out there, a lot of tech out there, but that's what my take in.
I think in employment law, and that's in trouble. I think all of legal, across the legal stack's in trouble. I think a go public prospectus, you can do that in about 5 minutes now with AI, and it used to take 10 Goldman Sachs bankers about 6 weeks to do it. I think the same thing's happening in employment law, and generating compliant employment agreements, or doing things like severance, or calculating severance, making exit packages, doing a RIF correctly, onboarding people correctly, having fair and equitable compensation across the board. I think AI it's already here. It's not adopted in the employment law perspective yet, but it's certainly here, and we're using that. And it's a huge cost structure saving for your company, because a lot of companies, as they scale, something they see, a cost that goes up, is legal. They don't go outsource legal to a law firm. They bring it in-house.
Right.
So I think in-house legal, especially around employment practices, which have big impacts on public sector and government establishments, that's going to be something to watch out for.
Well, we're running out of time here, so maybe just one final question. We have a lot of HR leaders in the audience. One piece of advice, anything that comes to mind that you want to tell them as they are paying attention more to AI in the HR space, anything HR adjacent, what should they keep in mind?
I would say don't have this fear of missing out on AI. Don't start there. Start with what's not working for you. Start with your employee retention plans, your corporate goals in terms of like hiring diverse talent, focusing on equity, diversity, and then see where AI can help. So that would be my advice.
I think L&D programs, leaning into learning and development programs heavily, and making sure everybody on your team, from the office manager all the way to your chief technology officer, is using AI agents every day. Because if you're a company that is AI native in your everyday practices, and your team is AI first and know all the tools, I think that will give you a leg up. You won't need to hire as many people, which in this economy is great because headcount stays low. And you'll be able to be competitive, not only you personally in the marketplace as a candidate and an employee at other companies, but also your company will be more competitive, because as you gain efficiencies in your company, you won't need to have as big of a cost structure. So I think learning and grokking the tools through L&D programs is a big plus for HR teams.
Okay, perfect. So don't be afraid of AI. Be open to learning about it and experiment. We'll end it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. That was well done. Thanks.